Hi everyone, welcome to the session on Agile methodology. Today we are going to see the topic as Agile documentation from Unit 5 Agility and Quality Assurance. In traditional software development, documentation is long, time consuming, and often created only at the beginning and end of the project. But in Agile, documentation is done differently. Agile focus on creating only the necessary and useful documentation instead of writing large documents that nobody uses. This is called just enough documentation, which means writing the clear and useful documents without wasting time. Agile teams also create and update documentation continuously during the project so that it remains accurate and helpful for everyone. And now we will see on the next slide the Agile documentation. The Agile promotes just enough documentation to ensure the clarity and collaboration. It focuses on value driven content rather than heavy static documents. Documentation evolves with development, reflecting the real project progress. It acts as a guide to align the stakeholders, not as a rigid contracts. It encourages simplicity, adaptability, and shared ownership. It uses lightweight visuals and accessible formats for better engagement. Here, the Agile documentation goal is to minimize the documentation and maximum the communication efficiency. In next slide, we will see the philosophy behind the Agile documentation. Traditional methods rely on heavy upfront documentation. Agile replaces the static paperwork with the flexible, evolving records. Every document must add value and support decision making. It encourages the real time collaborations and adaptability. The documents are living artifacts updated through sprints. Information must be concise, relevant, and actionable. Here, the purpose of the documentation facilitate the development, not slow it down. In next one, the Agile Manifesto view. The Agile values working software over comprehensive documentation. Documentation is essential but must be meaningful and purposeful. It emphasizes the conversations and collaboration for understanding. It keeps focus on delivering the functionality instead of paperwork. Documents serve as quick reference, not a formal records. Lightweight and visual documentation boost team agility. Every artifact should support the communication and transparency. In next one, the key principles of agile documentation. It is simplicity, keep it the concise and relevance. And next one is relevance. It include only what the team truly needs. Next one is the flexibility, update the continuously throughout the sprints. And next one is the collaborations. All members contribute and maintain the documentations. And next one is transparency, accessible to all through shared tools. And next principle is the automation, generate the repetitive documents automatically. Last one is the continuous update, treat documents as ongoing deliverable. In next slide, what agile documentation is not. It is the agile document is not long, not a formal, not heavy structure paperwork. It is not written only at the start of the project. It is not a replacement for team communication. It is not meant for compliance bureaucracy. It is not a one-time deliverable but a living entity. It not written for storage or record keeping alone. It focuses on knowledge sharing and collaboration, not the quantity. In next one, the types of agile documents. Here the product vision and roadmap, high level goals and direction. And the user stories describe the feature from an end user view. The acceptance criteria define the success condition for each story. The sprint backlog track the current sprint task and progress, test report or DOD, ensure the quality and completion standard. Architecture sketches, visual overview, not detailed diagram. All documents evolve continuously with each sprint iterations. The product visions and roadmap. It defines the product goals, target users, and desired outcomes. Serves as the guiding reference for all sprints. A roadmap evolves as priorities and market changes. It focuses on business value and delivery milestone. It communicated visually for shared understanding. It also keeps alignment between the business and technical teams. It ensures all work contributes towards the strategic goals. And next one is the user stories and acceptance criteria. User stories describe the desired functionality in a simple format. As a user, I want goals so that we get such a benefit. Acceptance criteria are defined, measurable, done condition. It promotes the shared understanding between the developers and stakeholders. It encourages the collaborations during the sprint planning and review. It also reduces the ambiguity and enhances the quality verification, forms the backbone of agile testing and validation. The sprint backlogs. It is a dynamic list of prioritized sprint work items. It continuously updated during the sprint execution. It visualizes the progress, ownership, and dependency, and also promotes the accountability across the entire agile team. This aligns sprint tasks with the product goals and priorities so that it improves adaptability to evolving project conditions and also encourage focus and transparency in delivery. And next one is test reports and definition of done, that is DOD. Test reports summarize the validation result for every sprint. Definition of done ensure all functional and non-functional standards met. Definition of done includes the coding, testing, documentation, and review completion, and also improves the visibility into project readiness and quality so that it ensures the consistency across the different sprints and releases. This reinforces agile focus on continuous improvement and also provides a objective criteria for sprint completion. And next one, the architecture sketches. This is an lightweight visual representation of the system structure. It focuses on relationship flows and key components. It avoids the over detailed or auto maintained diagrams. It regularly updated as architecture evolves and also supports the developer understanding and onboarding. It encourages the flexibility without losing the architectural clarity. It uses the visual tools like the Lucidchart, Draw.io, FigJam. And next slide, the best practice for the agile documentation. We have to keep the documentation brief and we have to make it the documentation as we have to add the more visual and it is very updated, that is the current. So regularly update the documents during the retrospectives and also use the shared tools like the Confluence and Notion for collaboration so that the link documentations with task in Jira or Trello. This is automate the report for sprint metrics and summaries. It makes a focus on useful actionable insight over the formal writing, and finally it encourages the joint ownership of all project documents. And next one is tool for agile documentation. A Confluence or Notion, a centralized wiki style, a repositories Jira, links documentation with development workflow. Google Docs or Sheets support the live collaboration and versioning. Lucidchart Draw.io enable the fast architectural sketching. Miro FigJam facilitate visual brainstorming session. Slack or Teams keep discussion and decision logs accessible. Integration ensures continuous document and synchronizations. Next one is the common pitfalls to avoid. Over document leads to waste and outdated information. Under documenting causes confusion and rework. Failing to update documentation breaks the team trust. So using disjointed tools hinders visibility and access. Over formalizing the contradict agile adaptive spirit. Poor collaboration leads to information silos. Forget the communication over documentation. Always prioritize dialogue. And next one is the oral summary and the key takeaway of this session is Agile's focus on useful living documentation over the exhaustive writing. Here the main types are the vision, user stories, backlogs, DOD and sketches. Documents evolve dynamically throughout the project. Collaboration ensures the accuracy, accessibility for all stakeholders. The balance is key. Avoid both the over documenting and under documenting. It uses integrated tools for efficiency and version control. Effective documentation drives alignment. It's not over it. So thank you. We will see in the next session.